Camera off the front of the iPhone or something completely different. So, Tom, I think we're live, not the smartest guys in the room. I think we're streaming. There's big changes. We're going to talk about the big changes. We're going to stay the course too, because part of life is shit happens, right? We talk all the time about not being so dependent on one platform, not being so dependent on one app, not being so dependent on one person. So, Tom, thoughts? What say you? And let's get some people up on the stage. Billy, come on up, man. How you doing?
I'm with you, Dom. I mean, I 100% agree about not being so dependent on one app, one platform, owning the space you're in. I think this might be this might light a fire. I'm just kind of like resizing things for the live stream here as we're talking, because everything has changed. I had a hard time getting the Clubhouse platform that I usually use to actually work this morning on my desktop, which is a whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe this is the kick in the pants that we need to move this thing, not the smartest guys in the room, this show that we do every Wednesday morning, to maybe move this. I mean, I don't know, maybe we need to get it on a platform where we own the real estate, so to speak, right? And not be dependent on the sort of whims of Clubhouse, because let's be honest, if they're making the changes that they're making now, and they're moving in the direction that they're moving, this live chat or discussion feature, the days may be numbered, or it may become more and more difficult to use, and it may be something that we can't use in the future. So I think maybe this might be a lesson for us, and maybe for everybody who listens to this show, that it's really important that you own the ground that you build your platform on, or your business, right? Like that you own the real estate, so to speak, or at least lease it and have some control over it, right? We're just right now, it's like we walked into a Best Buy and set up a podcast, right? Like that's essentially what we've done, is we've walked into a store and they said, hey, you guys can set up over there if you want. And now they're saying, well, we're thinking about maybe restricting, or we might get rid of that space. So guys might not be able to come here and set up anymore. That's kind of the reality of the situation we're in. And that's the reality that like a lot of folks are in when they build followings on social media, when they build, I mean, obviously we know your story with Twitter, right? With losing that community that you had built. So, it's the situation a lot of folks find themselves in when it comes to building a business, building a show like ours on somebody else's, platform, where we don't own the real estate, where we don't own the platform, and don't have rights to it. Right. At the end of the day, Clubhouse could just decide tomorrow that they're going to kick both of us off. And that would be it. Right. Like, there'd be nothing we could do about it. So, yeah, maybe this is the kick in the pants we need to actually move it over and do something a little bit more concrete. So,
well, you're exactly right, Tom. And I'm in the publishing business. And so I've always believed in the written word. And I have this belief that if everything goes down, if the computers go down, if the internet goes down, that you could still hold this book close to you, that you could still walk out at your farm and read the book. You could put it in your backpack and read that book. And so that's one of the reasons, to your point, why I'm so passionate about that. It's a space that you own so intimately that it's all yours. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. Big changes here on Clubhouse, but we're going to deal with them, see what's up. But I have a question for you guys. This is a favorite. In a year, 2 years, however long we've been on here, I don't think I've ever asked favors. Today, my favor is this. If you would you share the room? Because I wonder if people are getting the same notices and pings and things like that. So if you could today, would you share the room? And one of the reasons I want to share the room is I want to let people know that, because I did a little research on the app, and it said we're not we're not taking away these rooms like this. But what they did is they moved them, and they are going to, they believe in the direct messaging platform, and they put it first in their how you are going to log on and see your data and things like that. So you can still get to it. But if you would share the room. Hey, Dr. Tachi's in the house. Harry, Billy. Okay, let's talk about this. Heather, Kathy. I was just talking to Kathy a little bit ago. Kathy's writing a book, navigating the race within. She's a racer too. Tom, she did that. Tom's about to do an Ironman. Kathy does the epic. I don't know if you know what that is. She goes across Africa on her bike. However, I think she's done that more than once. Go on, Tom.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of have Iron Man on the brain because my Iron Man is actually on Saturday, this Saturday, the 16th. So if you guys are interested in following along on Saturday, you can download the Iron Man app. Just search for my name in the app. It'll pop up, and you'll be able to follow my progress. I got big goals as usual because, like, when do I swing for the fences. That's the only thing I know how to do. So I'm going sub 11 is the goal, sub 11 hours. So I want a 10 at the front of my time, and I was looking at the last couple of years' results. I'm going to be in the 45 to 49 age category, and I was looking at the last couple of years of results, and in that age group, the sort of bottom end of the top 10, the last couple of guys were all like 10:15 to 10:27 or so in terms of finish times. And on paper, if I have a great day on Saturday, on paper, I should be able to be right in there. So there's the potential. I'm going to go for it. There's the potential that I could finish top 10 in my age group. Not likely, but I'm going to try. So yeah. So if you guys want to follow along, please do. I would appreciate the support, and think good thoughts for me to have a good day on Saturday. It's going to be a long day of racing. And I'm excited and nervous, and stressed, and kind of have Ironman brain. It's the only thing I can think about right now. So, all that said, I have to, we can talk about this later too, but I have to do a carbohydrate loading over the next couple of days. So I actually have to go get some carbohydrates real quick. So I will be right back, Dom. But that's what I got going on in my mind.
But when you get back, Tom, we need to know about the distances and stuff like that too. So clarify for us. How far are they? Okay.
Yeah, I can do that real quick. So very easy. It's not easy, but it's very straightforward. So the distances are as follows. So it's a triathlon. So it's swim, bike, run. Swim is always first, then you bike, then you run. And that's very intentional. If you put the swim last, you'd have people drowning. And that's not a good thing, because they would be so exhausted. So it's super dangerous to do. So it's always swim first. The swim is 2.4 miles or 4,200 some odd yards, 4,224 yards or something like that, I think. So the swim is 2.4 miles. Then you get on the bike, and the bike is 112 miles. And then you run, and the run is a marathon, and a marathon is a distance. Sometimes there's some confusion about this for folks. A marathon is not a long distance running race. A marathon is a specific distance, and the specific distance of a marathon is 26.2 miles. So it's 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, 26.2 mile run, for a grand total of 140.6 miles over the course of the day. And my goal is to do that in under 11 hours. And it's full, all of that distance is under your own propulsion, right? So no motors, no assistance, just you and your body and your training and your mind. Most importantly, the mental aspect cannot be underrated.
Does anyone feel lazy right now? Like, I'm just feeling a little lazy hearing all this that Tom's doing.
That's why we need to set. Everybody has different goals, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we need to know, like, hey, when people talk about it, what is it? Like, is Tom going out and running 3 miles, or is he, like, what's he up to?
Yeah, you guys aren't lazy. I'm just out of my mind.
Let's
be fair. I'm out of my mind. You guys are not lazy. This is not a commentary on anybody else. I'm just a lunatic.
Is there a point? Go on. Is there a point, Tom? Go on. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. So with that said, let me go grab my multiple English muffins that I have to eat, and I'll be right back, and then I'll answer any questions and talk about how crazy I am more if you guys want.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, be right back.
So now we're pivoting here. Based off of what Tom was saying, is there a point where you're doing any challenge, your job, your day, your podcast, where you're like, what the F am I doing? A moment in time where you think, why am I in this? It's time to quit. What was I thinking? This is a lot harder. And then we are going to talk anybody all day about the clubhouse switching everything. But that's why I was hoping, if you guys are in the room today, that you'd ping some people in to let them know that we will still be being goofy. We will still be talking about media. We'll still be talking about Tom's races, because we're not going to stop. So Harry Spate, what do you got? What do you got for us today? How you doing, my friend?
Well, I was just going to ask, is it me? Am I the reason that Clubhouse is changing? I mean, I just came back, so I'm thinking it must be me. Is that even possible?
Maybe it's like they want you to be first to market too. So, and maybe you're gonna. Well, I will say I will give you all your faces today on my computer are a little bigger. So, Dr. Tachi, I see more of Dr. Tachi. I see more of Julie. Harry, I was comfortable with how much of Harry I saw before.
Exactly.
Okay, Billy's on the phone. So, Dr. Tachi, what do you think about these changes? What do we need to know? How are we gonna handle them?
Well, this is a testament to things that I always say, that these platforms can do whatever the hell they like, and they will do whatever the hell they like. It was Kevin, my podcast partner, who came on and said that when they did the town hall, I wasn't there, but he relayed to me when they did the town hall, they mistakenly had it so that a whole bunch of people could come up, and they started wailing basically about the changes and say, change it back. So often when these platforms make changes, people are upset, but did they change it back? No. Are they going to change it back? Probably not. So the best thing to do is to find ways to use this. If you're still interested in using Clubhouse, to incorporate it with changes in what you do, because they're not keeping it the way you want because you want it that way. So that's what I would say to that. And if you want my personal take on this, usually, and I probably said this before, but generally when people make changes like this, is because they're looking at pivoting to be acquired. So I'll just leave it there.
Okay, so I want to know more, Dr. Tachi. So have you found additional benefits with what they have now? And when you say, how would, let's say, followers versus friends or something like that, how would that make it more viable?
If you're asking me as an individual, no, because I only, let me be clear, not the smartest guys in the room, and some other rooms are the only ones that I go into now. So it's not like I was searching and looking and trying to incorporate that. And that's never been my MO from the beginning, of trying to incorporate Clubhouse, because I know me and I know what will work for me. And I didn't see Clubhouse fitting in there. But again, because now they've done this, I think there is an opportunity for those who want to do it to curate more intimate conversations, to curate smaller conversations, more meaningful conversations. I personally think they could have just added the features in without changing things, but it is what it is. So there are opportunities to do smaller, more intimate conversations through the text feature, or the voice feature.
Okay, good points. And wasn't that similar to a private room or something like that you could start before? So I like your idea of, could you have added, like, let's say Facebook or Instagram. Well, funny I say Facebook or Instagram. Facebook owns them both, but how many wrinkles they've added over the years? Like there's hundreds of wrinkles they just keep adding. So, hey, Billy, man, you were on the phone. We need Billy's opinion on all this. What do you think about these changes? Are you done? Are you just saying screw it? Or in your business anytime, is there a point where you just say, I'm out? Or is it, hey, I'll see how this works for me? Go on, man.
Hey, what's up, Dom and Tom? Man, I don't really care, honestly. I'm like, it's a free platform. I don't do business on here. I'm not trying to grow a show on here. It's more of a kind of hang out, find people, discover people, and it's been fun. It's done that. I think it's good. I think change is good. I think the app was getting stagnant. Taking the steering wheel off of my car and putting a joystick on there while I'm doing 60 miles an hour down the interstate felt a little funny, but I think it's good, man. I think this might be Clubhouse's last ditch effort to find their spot unless another pandemic happens or we get locked up again or whatever. But yeah, man, I think it's fine, dude. It's whatever. They're creators too. They can do whatever they want. It's their freaking app. And until we start paying for it, then we can't really gripe about it too much. If we don't like it, go play in somebody else's playground. But I also say that because I haven't built a business on here. I mean, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, when I was really looking for people to help in the podcasting space, it'd probably been a little bit annoying, but if you've built your entire business on one platform, that's probably need to reevaluate it anyway. It's a good time to reset and go get a better business model, in my opinion. So anyway, those are my quick thoughts. But yeah, man, I like the update. I'm with Dr. Tachi. I think they could have probably said, hey, here's a new feature in a side panel. Click on this and it'll take you into here. But I guess there's no way to get people to adapt to a new feature than just forcing it on them. So, like it or not, here we are. I kind of like it, honestly. I think I'm rambling on and on right now. The next person's waiting in line. Well, I can go to a conversation that's like, hey, what kind of business do you own? And it's like you just get these quick hits of information and you can kind of listen to them as you want to, and there's not a lot of blabbing like what I'm doing. So I kind of like it. Pass it back to you.
No, you're doing good, brother. And your point about like, hey, look, maybe it was a last ditch effort. And then I wonder about like something like Zoom took off during the pandemic, worth more than all the airlines, and it's still killing. So what's the difference? Is there much of a difference? Why is one struggle so much, or is it struggling, and the other one's just something we accept as the new norm? Tom's looking at me. So Tom, what'd you want to say there?
Yeah, I think they're very different. It's a bit of an apples and oranges kind of thing between like Zoom and Clubhouse in my mind, because Zoom is a business tool, right? And it was used a lot during the pandemic for social purposes, and you can use it for social purposes as well, but it is also a robust business tool. I don't think Clubhouse really kind of falls into that same category, right? It's sort of Clubhouse, I think, is like kind of falls into is much more a social network. I mean, there are people that have built businesses and brands and made a lot of money on Clubhouse, like, don't get me wrong, but it's not a business tool, right? It is something that people have leveraged to make money, right? The same way that people have leveraged Zoom and creating webinars and things like that as a way to, and virtual seminars, et cetera, to create income for themselves. But it's also a business tool. It's a productivity tool. And Clubhouse is really more sort of like, what do you do when you have time to spend on something or to do with what you will? What do you do when you have disposable time, right? Like, instead of disposable income, right? Like free time, what do you do? Maybe you get on Clubhouse, and that was something that was super viable during the pandemic. People have less time now, right? As the world sort of like kicked back into gear, they have less time to spend on things like Clubhouse. And so, the usership fell off, right? People stopped using it as much. It makes sense, I think, because again, unless your business is an internet business that revolves around building, a group of followers on social media, I don't see Clubhouse as really serving as a productivity tool for your business. But Zoom definitely does serve as a productivity tool for businesses. So yeah, I think that's the difference from my perspective.
All right, good take, man. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're using Restream. I don't know if it's my internet or not, but it seems, I don't know if it's weird today, but I usually look at Tom, but every now and then I can only see Tom every so often, and now Tom's face is froze on the thing, so he's still
You were
with us.
frozen, Dom, for a while on LinkedIn Live, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel frozen right now. I think I'm frozen, but
You're not frozen on my end.
Yeah. All right.
So I
it's
don't know what
weird.
to tell you. I think it's I don't know. It could be your internet. Are you on Did you go back to Wi-Fi or did you go back to the
I keep switching back and forth.
Well, I mean, that's probably not helping. Switching back and forth is probably not a good
when I
plan.
look frozen, I change, man.
I would say leave it on the wired and let's see what happens.
All right. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. Let's continue this. Okay. Hey, I see Heather, I see Jess, I see Jason, my friend Kathy, S. That looks like SS squared, but it's S squared. Julie, what do you got going on? What do you think about these changes? And Julie, one of the things, she does meetups. She takes, she has a lot of her business go through media casters on the website and stuff. So she is not one that is dependent on one platform. So I admire that. Julie, weigh in on all this.
Hey guys, thank you. I appreciate you both. So, okay, my thought is the whole change. I mean, it's so different. It's really hard to discover rooms now, and you just have to know how to do it. And it still is hard, even if you know how to do it. So I'm glad I found this room today. I really think they did it to demonopolize the app because if you would see just all the Grant Cardones, the Millionaire Marathon, and you wouldn't be able to hear other content. That was really dominating the app. So I like that aspect that they are really allowing us creators to use this app in a different way. There is a huge learning curve, and I think they're probably going to lose a lot of people because people just give up when you can't figure it out. And there's the hallway. I don't even know if it's hallway, so I don't really know what it's called, but there's these things where you record and it's like a recorded room. And I'm so bad at explaining it, but I do like the fact that they've kind of knocked the big boys at their knees and made it what it is. Grant Cardone had like 100,000 followers, 150,000 followers, and then you look at him, he has 1,000 friends. They want it really to make those true connections. So if I look at Dom, he has 696 friends. I'll just use me as an example. I have 1.8 thousand friends, but before this, I had like 4.7 thousand followers. It was because I wasn't following them all back, and you can't follow everybody back because that will flood your hallway. So I like that it's kind of a mutual ascension to creating a relationship, and I feel like it's leveling the playing field. Everybody is confused. It's like starting over from day one. Everyone liked Clubhouse when we first started, and I think it was Billy. It just became kind of stagnant, and you just see all the same things, and it was like crazy and chaos. So I see that as a real positive. Thanks, guys.
Okay, good takes all around, Julie. Thank you. Go on, Billy. Do you want to weigh in on something? I think it's a high five to Julie. Maybe I should have learned these, but go on.
Well, yeah, I was gonna raise my hand because I don't think it's really. I mean, maybe their whole thing, but like Million Marathon, Grant Cardone, all those guys. I mean, they've always had rooms, right? Like they build platforms just like the rest of us. No one's on here. No one's creating content on here. I mean, that's the problem. Like they don't have a problem of somebody monopolizing YouTube or it's not like Mr. Beast monopolizes YouTube. There's nobody at Mr. Beast level to compete, and so it's kind of the same thing. It's like those guys aren't monopolizing the app. There's just nobody on here creating content, or it's not entertaining enough, or they're not getting the attention of people, or they're not bringing people on. And I think that's the main problem is Clubhouse has never been, as much as they think they are, creator first. They're not creator first. I don't know what they are. They don't know what they are. That's why there's so many iterations so quickly over the last couple of years. It's like, and I get it, man. It's like you get a business, it blows up in the first, couple of years or first year or whatever, and then you're like, holy crap, this horse is out of control. I can't get the reins back, and we don't even know who we are because we're just so popular during a really weird time, in world events. So I don't think it's really that. I mean, whatever they can say, whatever. But I think, those guys are still going to create content somewhere else. They're great content creators. They're entertainers. That's what they do. They're going to build here. They're going to build there. I think they just have to, they want everybody to be friends. They want to bring the relationship more intimate and do whatever they think, I guess. But people are still going to follow those other big creators because they're entertaining and that's what they do. So I just think it's a really interesting, like, because I mean, look at my following, for instance. Like, I have what over 2,000 quote unquote friends on here, but I follow 5,000 people, which is the max amount of people that you can follow on this platform. I can't follow anybody else. So even if people said, "Hey, I want to be your friend, follow me back," sorry, I can't do that. Also, sorry, I don't know how to go filter it to to free up some bandwidth
It
so I
says you're
can be friends.
2.3, not 5K. It says you're 2.3.
Well,
You may want to look
so
at it.
yeah. So how it works is I follow 5,000 people. 2.3 thousand people follow me back, which makes us friends. So there's another 2,200 or whatever amount of people that I can't even they don't follow me. So that's what I'm talking about. And I have 10.4 thousand quote unquote followers on this app. So it's like how do they should have just raked it all down to nothing, honestly. Like, if they're gonna do it, they should have just raked it all down to nothing and said, "Hey, nobody's friends. Here's a bunch of discoverability features. Let's all restart." But that's just my thoughts. Anyway, sorry to take over there, Dom.
No, man, I like to see Billy's a tad pissy today, a tad shot out of the cannon, and I'm enjoying it. So there is a place for you here, man. Don't ever feel like that. So the question, so let's say Grant Cardone or something with where let's say 1 million people are following him. So we talk about that. So now if he can only friend 5,000, does that mean that the other 9,900,099, whatever that comes out to be, does that mean they can't see his content now, or how's that work? Oh, no answers. Okay, go on.
To be determined. We're waiting
Okay.
for Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, if they let's say if it was 5 before and now it's 2 for Billy or whatever it is. So does that mean 3,000 people who liked Billy can't see Billy's content because they haven't been able to friend them yet? Who knows? So let's learn. My live stream is still black. Why is it black? If you can see me, I don't know why you can see me, because all I see is a black screen. This screen looks good. Anyway, all right, Heather, what say you about all this? And is there ever a time when you're doing something where you're just like, forget it, I'm done, I'm walking away, I'm bored, or whatever?
So, in regards to the follower friend following back thing, if you open up your own house, you can actually migrate all those people. So like I migrated the 22K that I had over to that house. Granted, they still need to like accept it. So it's not really a real number. And then the cap that you can be friends with, quote unquote, is 3.1. That's me right now. I'm at 3.1K. I cannot friend any more people, even though they keep asking me to. And I'm like, I can't do it. Won't allow me. So, but I agree with Julie that it's bringing it back to the getting it away from the bigger creators. No, nobody care. I don't care about follower count. Nobody should care about follower count. It's about the content. And are you showing up? And are you supporting others and collaborating? So, and one thing I will say, I don't like the voice notes. I hate being in voice chats, group texts, group voice chats. I don't like it. And a lot of people are like me. And so it's just really I'm not going to sit there and listen to everybody's voice note. It's kind of like I don't sit there and toggle through stories on Instagram. That's not my thing. And so everybody uses the app differently. And so, if you want to use it differently, you can market, on a voice note, your product, your service. You can give tips and tricks. You can have an AMA, ask me anything. There's so many things that you could do with that voice note, but these rooms are going to stay. A lot of people are using live, capital LIVE, in the beginning of their rooms, so that when you go to the search, you could just search that word live and then toggle to rooms, and then you can find it. But then now there's the little now pulsating thing. There's lots of different changes, and yes, it's crazy town. And sorry if you can hear my husband's cooking me breakfast.
Hold on. What is he making you?
He is making me a ham, egg, and cheese omelet with potatoes because he's awesome.
Right. Very good. Very good. Okay, continue.
But with anything like X literally changed overnight. Twitter was goodbye and just turned into X. Clubhouse was meh, we're not going to do large rooms anymore, and just decided to create these voice memos and smaller room type feel. An app can change whenever they want, whenever they feel like it. They don't owe us jack shit. So just think about how you are marketing yourself and utilizing these tools and these platforms, and be omnipresent. I talk about that all the time because these apps could go away. Clubhouse could shutter its doors tomorrow and we would be like, oh, WTF. So make sure you're connecting with everybody on different platforms, be omnipresent, and, just ride the wave of change, because this is one of the biggest thing I've learned lately, right? Just change is inevitable. Change is going to happen. You kind of need to go with the flow and ride that wave of change. Thanks.
I'm 100% with you, Heather. Yeah, I'm 100% with you, Heather. I think, and I agree with, what you guys were talking about and what Billy was saying earlier as well. I mean, at the end of the day, look, it is a free platform. I don't begrudge, Clubhouse making changes that they feel they need to make to continue to make their business viable, right? I don't begrudge them that for a second. I have no doubt that I would be using some of the same operating principles and some of the same decision-making rubrics that they're using if I was at the helm of a business like Clubhouse, right? So I don't begrudge them the decisions that they're making or the changes they're making at all. And to your last point, Heather, you're 100% right. Change is omnipresent, right? Change is always, change is forever, change is inevitable, change is every one of the synonyms you can think of. But here's the way that I always like to think about change, and kind of remind people how present in our lives change really is when people ever get sort of resistant to it. And it's very simple. Every time you look at a clock, whether it's a watch on your wrist or on your wall or on the monitor of your computer or on your phone screen, every time you look at a clock, what you're really doing is reading a measurement of change, because that's what time is, right? Time is a measurement of change. And really what you're doing is every time you look at a clock, you are looking at a measurement of change. And so it is omnipresent. It is with us and around us and part of our daily lives every minute and every second of every day that we're walking around, whether we're on Clubhouse or live streaming or doing an Ironman. Change is always with us. So it doesn't do us any good to dig our heels in and resist it, because it is an immutable force. So yeah, I think just bear that in mind. Remember that every time you look at your watch, every time you look at a clock, all you're doing is looking at a measurement of change, and measuring the amount of change that's happened since the last time you looked at that clock. So that's all. I just wanted to throw that in. And Dom, on a very unrelated note, did your computer crash? Are you coming back to the live stream? What happened?
I don't know. I was on a meeting with you and Julie a couple of weeks ago. Computer crashes. I'm coming at some point, man. I don't know what's going on. I need anybody want to live with me and
I do.
Come on, Ben, you can do it. Come live with me. You can do computer tech. A couple years ago, I tried to get I wanted to they had an idea to move a homeless guy into my house in the basement, and my wife did not like that. But in this case, I would move somebody in for tech support. Hey, and by the way, Ben Courier hasn't been around for a while, but when I was out in California, we went to Venice Beach and we played basketball out there, and he has a hook shot. So I got to tell you, I played basketball for 30 some years. I played in college. I think I'm half decent. Ben, he probably was a bit inebriated. He has a sky hook, and he was throwing sky hooks from like half court, and I barely beat him at a game of horse, and he's throwing like one-handed shots, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot lose. But the gods were with him that day, and like every shot that he threw, like one-handed, like over his shoulder, they were going in. It was all.
I don't think it was as good as you're saying, but I will absolutely let everyone here believe that for sure. So thank you. I appreciate it, Dom. And it was amazing to meet you in person. That was awesome.
Yeah, man. You're 10 foot tall and handsomer than I ever knew. So, all right, Tom, I am going to get my computer back up and running. It's back on. I'm sorry for letting the live stream down. Jess, go on, Tom.
I was just going to say, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Look, I don't, maybe Julie, I know she's got teenagers running around the house. Maybe she can weigh in, but I feel like your kids, Dom, are of an age where they could probably give you some advice as to how to get your computer to work a little bit better. Just because they've grown up with the technology and they're inherently more familiar with it than you are. But I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that you may already have an IT person in the house. The trick is getting them to actually help you with it. I mean, I don't know. Are your kids the exception to their generation? Are they not good with tech?
Your point is probably pretty accurate. When I used to do, like me and my son used to do a YouTube series, and he was the cameraman. And somehow, let me tell you this little tidbit. So, like as I was trying to build a YouTube channel, and let's say you'd get 100 views, 10 views, 1,000 views, whatever. My son started a YouTube channel, and he would get like 1 million views, hundreds of thousands of views. But then we had to talk to him because at the time he was just pirating everything and putting it on YouTube. And we're like, what the hell are you doing, Cameron? You can't just pirate. Yeah, I shouldn't even say his name. He's just like taking clips of everything and resharing it on YouTube. And like, I'm like, there's got to be something smart to what he was doing, Tom. But so, yeah, I think he might have known at a young age, but he's at school.
And I got to meet him. He's awesome.
Yeah,
I get that they're not available right now, but I'm just saying this seems like an ongoing problem, right? So maybe it's just a matter of them saying, hey, like my computer is acting weird. Can you guys take a look at it? Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. You know what I need to do? I'm going to have to, I'm in the basement in an office. I'm going to have to, I need to move. I'm going to have to say it's time. Go out of the house somewhere else. I can't, nobody puts baby in the basement anymore. So Johnny's got his hand raised, and we're going to go to Jess. Johnny, what's up, brother? You got some ideas? You're going to come live with me?
No, but I think you might be one of those people who just has an aura that every time you touch technology, it fails. We all know somebody like that. And I don't know that there's any hope for you, Dom, unless you cleanse your aura.
Johnny, don't put that weight on me. Johnny put bad mojo on me today. Bad vibes, man.
He's talking about cleansing your aura. I want to know, when was the last time you gave your aura a bath, Dom?
Does anybody in this room know a quick way to cleanse an aura?
I tried to give you one that day, but you were like not loving how much I was touching you.
Yeah. Well, then, so I got to tell you, so we're out at Venice Beach. 1,000 people around, and Ben's there with his girlfriend, Jocelyn. Is that her name?
X, but go ahead.
Okay, and she's got this little dog, And so my wife and daughter go down Venice Beach shopping while we're playing basketball, that kind of stuff. And Venice Beach, if you've never been there, it has everything. There's people riding motorcycles across the court. There's people taking pictures that are modeling. There's people doing drugs. There's people eating all kinds of every food you'd ever want, just everything going on. All of a sudden, so my wife meets Ben and his girlfriend for the first time. They say to her, will you watch my dog? And this little dog is like as big as like a cup. Oh, it really like some kind of toy dog.
A beer stein, maybe.
Okay, beer stein. So then they leave and they go off and like wherever they were in like the middle of the game, they leave and go off wherever they're going. And people are like looking at my wife. Like there was a guy from Kenya that came over. He's like, they're not coming back. And we're thinking, I'm like, I know this guy from Clubhouse, but he's not just going to leave my wife with his dog, is he? So, but they did eventually come back, but people were walking over wondering. She was scared. So they came back and got their dog. That's how that story ends. But I did not get my aura clear.
My experience with that was I did not think it was that long. And that I also thought you all enjoyed having the dog. So this is news to me, but I'm happy to hear news because
the dog was cute, no doubt. But it was just interesting when you add it to Venice Beach that, hey, take my dog and we might come back or not. So, okay, not the smartest guys in the room. We're getting sidetracked as usual. Tom and Johnny do that to me. So we are talking about change. Can you handle change? We're talking about change in the Clubhouse app and just change in general. Hey, but I wanted to point out to Heather's comment, we were about change of an app. And she said, Twitter changed its name. Yes, but it's still the same app. Like you go on Twitter and they can do whatever they want. But like last night I went, what was it? Monday night. We watch the Jets. Me and my son are watching Jets. And as soon as Aaron Rodgers goes down, the first place I go for news, the quickest news was Twitter. So I think just like when the plane landed on the Hudson in, 2009, and they realized Twitter was a news source, instant news source, I think it still works as that. So, so I found out early that people were thinking Aaron Rodgers this, Aaron Rodgers that. Still work. Okay, that's what I got. Tom, you want to weigh in and then go to Jess? I almost see you again here.
I don't have anything to add there, Dom, because honestly, I had a little bit of a weird tech kerfuffle on my side, and there was I was hearing double audio on a delay, and so I genuinely don't know what you said because I just got it fixed, and all I heard at the end was Aaron Rodgers. And I know he tore his ACL in his first round of downs with I didn't see the game, but I have heard about it because it has become a meme internet sensation. But that's pretty much all I know.
All right, fair enough, Tom. On to Jess, not the smartest people in the room. Jess, what's up? And we're coming around to Jason, Johnny, Carrie, and Ben again. Holly, what's going on? Okay.
Good morning, everyone. First off, I did not know he tore his ACL.
It's his Achilles. It's even worse. So go on.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I missed that game, but definitely tuning in today. But on everything, I don't know what is going on in Clubhouse other than I had to do an update and then it changed. So I'm listening to y'all, honestly, and learning from y'all because I'm not sure what happened or changed or how it modified things. So y'all are all really giving me the knowledge, quite honestly.
All right, well, just stick around. Jason usually has some knowledge on this kind of thing. So Jason, you've been using these features. What are you doing? You logging on? How's it working for you? You creating rooms? What do we need to know?
When it first started, probably the Friday after it started, I started putting live in my room and I started doing things and experimenting with some of the features. And yeah, it's not really pleasing, but I was thinking about what everyone was saying about followers. And I was like, if you really think about follower stats, most people don't even get 30% of the people they know actively taking participation in each whatever production or your activity. So and we're talking, and Julie's talking about, Grant Cardone and all of them. If you think that those creators put enough of their eggs in one basket, you're sorely mistaken. No, they're going to pick multiple. They're going to figure out which one is the best, most relevant, current. When there's a new app, they switch. We all switched, before Clubhouse. What were you doing? So yeah, we don't own the app, but it's kind of like feeling like you're invested. Your, not just your time, but your likeness, your brand. And that's where people are coming to conclusions like, what do I actually have that I've just been entitled to for so long? So, I understand both sides of the aisle. In my opinion, I think that move on. If one app isn't going to do it for you like that, like I've been moonlighting back on Breakout. Yeah, it has glitches, has the same visibility, but it needs people to take activity in. So when something doesn't work as well as another, people will go wherever they can best familiarize themselves and their activity and content that may be. So that's where I stand.
Thanks, brother. Good answers. So we're trying it, we're checking it out, and we will keep on moving forward. If you would, if anybody, if you don't mind, if you would share the room today. I haven't shared the room, so I'm gonna push my little share button here and share it on. Let's see if I'm gonna share it on Twitter. There you go. I saw Tom for a second, and then he went out on me again. See, I don't, Johnny. Maybe my aura is bad. Maybe
I can see you fine, Dom.
Oh, now I see Tom again.
I see you. I don't think there's a problem with your internet. I think it's a user error.
Yeah.
I think you've closed the screen or done something and like you can't see me, but I can see you fine. Okay. You're good on the live stream. I pulled it up on LinkedIn. You look fine on LinkedIn. So yeah, I think there's some user error going on. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you got to do better than like, just giving your aura a shower. Maybe you gotta go for a deep clean, like, a spa day for your aura. Give it a mud mask or something.
That's a good idea. Hey, I have to tell you, I started volunteering for my daughter's field hockey. They asked me to, one of my friends volunteered me, so I'm the announcer now for field hockey. Marco Francisco, and I name all these people, do the whole thing. I'm into it. So now it's like the third game the other day, and the iPad's not hooked up. Nothing's hooked up. The guy gives it to me. There's extra screens. I can't find the music. I can't find the Star Spangled Banner. So the whole time I'm announcing, the other guy's looking for the Star Spangled. He does the scoreboard, and I did announcing. So we're like, I'm reading the stuff at the beginning of the game, and we're like scrambling around this little field house to try to find the national anthem. Can't find it. So then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, please stand, rise, face the scoreboard, and like dead silence, and it was on 9/11, and I'm thinking this is even shittier, so I was going to do a moment of silence. So the guy finally gets up on his phone, the national anthem, and I have to hold it into the microphone and hold the button down and play it had to be the lamest attempt. So my aura has been bad for a few days. I do need an adjustment, like a chiropractic. Johnny, go on, hold on. Johnny, go on, my man.
So actually, I said that kind of facetiously, but it is true that there are people that, because our bodies give off electrical impulses, and there are people who give off electrical impulses that will mess with technology. I knew a girl, I worked with her for 4 years, and in 4 years, she went through 5 laptops that she completely fried. every piece of technology she touched was ruined. That's a real thing. So I don't know that there's a solution for you, Dom, but it could be a real thing for you. But so I got to tell you guys, when Clubhouse did this update, I hated it. I'm still not thrilled that I can't find the rooms that I participate in or listen to on a regular basis. The discoverability for the content I want has vanished, and that's frustrating to me. However, I am intrigued by this. You know, basically, it's the equivalent of doing shorts on um, Instagram. This 30-second drop in chat at any time that is saved and recorded. And, I'm kind of intrigued by it because I've never been one to host my own rooms because no one shows up for them. So maybe, doing a 30-second, you know, pop culture morning mini bite is going to serve me really well on this app. I don't know. But I like change. I embrace change. I'm one of those people who, if I have to do the same thing every day, it will kill me. Literally. It will it will it will cause me to die slowly and painfully.
Johnny, I hear that, man. I have fought that battle many a times doing the same thing. I think Tom's there. I'm sure Harry, I bet not even on this app, there's not many people that do the same thing every day. So if you do same routine all day long, every day, just give me a clap. That's what I want to hear about. It's the same every day. Nada. Okay, go on. All right, go on. Tom, would you want to add something there? Now I can see your smiley face. Okay, so if we're on, now I'm going to go, since now my camera's probably going to go off, I'm going to show you something that makes me smile. So while my camera's on. Okay. So
the only thing I was going to say, Dom, was in response to Johnny's friend who fried 4 laptops or whatever was how many lattes got spilled on them. Because that is also a thing, right? That people spill things and people do things with electronics that they don't realize is bad for electronics, right? Like, how many times were those laptops dropped? How many times were they thrown, onto a piece of furniture? How many things were spilled on them? Just things that people don't realize are bad for electronics happen all the time. And tend to fry them probably more often than the very, very, very low intensity electromagnetic fields around people. But Johnny's right. I mean, we do run on electricity.
Yeah, and so Johnny, I meant to tell you, and I'm glad Tom doubled back on that. That was the stinking greatest compliment anybody ever gave me. So thank you. I'm rocking energy, man. And look at this is my favorite shirt, by the way, Pittsburgh versus everybody. Look at that good mojo I got. My mojo's back because of Johnny's compliment. Okay, so now every week we do the live stream. We started showing like it was a show and tell. So if you see the live stream, if we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. So this one today, it is a morph of little buddy. Okay, so my mom, she's ill with Alzheimer's for about a decade, and she had an arboretum at her house, classrooms, the loveliest plants. I mean, some of them were 12 foot high, amazing, giant leaves, pine trees in her house. So there was one, it was like some kind of fir tree that she had in her house, beautiful. And my dad, when my mom got sick, he couldn't really keep it, and I couldn't transport it. I wish I would have before my dad started to kill it. But I cut a little clipping, and I had this thing. So I had a pine tree growing, and all of a sudden, the pine tree, I grew it in water, and the pine tree only got so big. But then I took it outside, and you can see if you look close, the the little pine tree is still in there, and I called that little buddy. But when I took it outside to get some water, somehow little buddy died, but I wasn't going to give up on it. So I just kept letting it grow. And then all of a sudden, out of the same pot, mighty oak started to grow. So I had my dad, who's in the nursery business. I think, well, when I had the little buddy outside, although it died, I think a bird or something dropped a oak seed in my same pot, and now I got mighty oak growing. So mighty oak is what makes me smile today. That's what you got, Tom.
I love it. I mean, I love the story behind it for sure. Yeah, funny that, like, you know, I mean, who knows? You know what actually could have happened very realistically is a squirrel could have like grabbed an acorn and buried it in the pot to hide it, and or buried several acorns and one of them sprouted into that little seedling oak there. But yeah, I was confused at first because it sounded like you were struggling to pick it up. And I was like, what is this? Like, how big is this thing that he's about to break out for show and tell, that it's like a bit of a struggle to pick it up off the ground. I was like, is this going to fit in frame? Or are we going to be able to see this on camera? But we did. And I love it, man. I think that's a great story too. And you know, I think it's really nice that you keep that around to remind you of the, even though the little pine tree, didn't make it, that you keep the pot around and keep something growing in it to remind you of that arboretum that your mom had. So I think that's super cool. I love that.
Well, thank you, man. And I thought when I was pulling it up, the look on Tom's face looked a little, I thought he thought I was going to pull up like a marijuana plant or something like that. Because, yeah, his face was like, what is he pulling up here? So
to be perfectly honest, I would have been totally fine with that. It wouldn't have bothered me at all. I wouldn't have been confused or concerned. Oh, I might have been confused, but I wouldn't have been concerned. I really wouldn't have cared because, I don't know. We have the Canna Mom in here pretty regularly. She's not here today. Probably can't find the room. I think at the end of the day, I mean, it's just, of all the things to make a Schedule I drug, marijuana is a pretty dumb one. So anyway.
Okay, that would be a good clip too. Okay, go on. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're not giving up on the room. This is a change today of how to find the room, and we'll figure that out over the next couple of weeks and stuff like that. So thank you for giving us a try today. We appreciate you guys. So Carrie, what do you have to say about change and giving up on things and Tom's big race or Mighty Oak?
So you all are better people than I am. I'm just going to say that. Embracing change. I'm so pissed off about this. I've lost a house that has 1,000 people that I spent hours every week for years building. It's just gone. The back channel, so many things. I put so much time and effort into it, and people are really upset. And the clubhouse doesn't seem to care. It's so frustrating for me. I need anger management. I'm beside myself.
Okay, Carrie, go on. Preach. So I'm finding out things as you talk. So I can't back channel people. So usually I used to be able to send Dr. Tachi a message and say, you're on fire, Johnny. Tell me another story. I can't do that now.
No, the back channel's gone. They don't care about live rooms. They just want these weird audio chats. I don't even listen to my own voicemail. I purposely have it that you can't even leave me a voicemail. So why the hell am I going to listen to a bunch of people that I don't even know voicemail? It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And the town hall last night was so disappointing. I'm really, like I said, I need anger management. I'm just distraught over it.
So who else was on this town hall? If you want to weigh in on the town hall, I'd love to know.
I was like waiting for the town hall so that they would give some answers. And I mean, the way I look at this, I worked for a magazine for almost 30 years. And I remember we had like a large format And so we look like W Magazine. And I fought, we had to downsize to like an 8x10 to stay in business. But it changed the visual aspect. So I remember fighting and crying and having such a hard time with it with my publisher. And I worked on the redesign countless, through the night. We did all these things to move mountains to make the change happen. And now we're out of business, so I just don't, I think you can do things, but you push people to a point where, I don't know, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm really, really upset about it. And I give credit to the other people who are like, well, I'm here for the change and I'm super positive. I'm usually a positive person, but this has been really upsetting.
Anybody else? Carrie, thank you. Anybody else go to the town hall last night? And then I'm wondering, is in the room right now, are there any apps that you guys quit? Like I gave up on Snapchat after about a week. I was like, I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. That's how maybe Snapchat's the coolest thing of all time, but it just wasn't for me. So Jay, go on. What, did you have something?
I quit a couple of different audio apps.
Go on.
Spoon was one of them. I was in Spoon before I was in Clubhouse. I quit Stereo. Rough. There's Tin Can. What else? There's a number of them, or Clapper. I still have an account, but I haven't logged in I don't know how long. But there's all these different audio apps. It just, it's like, what do you want? And are you really making, the marks that you want with your time when you have the access? So Clubhouse may have shot themselves in the foot. They may not have, but you've got to take risks. And if they're not making money to further their platform and have to redesign it and drain the swamp, then that's what they got to do, unfortunately. But I mean, it's just, you have to move on. You have to move forward, but I will say this, you can go into a person's house and you can post a message in their house. But here's the thing, a lot of people lock their houses up to where you can't even post any comments or anything. So I kind of think that works against them with the new features. So if you lock your house and say and no one can post anything in your house, except for you, okay, well, that's your deal. But people may not want to be active with you, who want to say, hey, when are you running a room? I want to, talk with you. But you can leave voicemails directly, privately. It's just not the most convenient thing. And it's just like, we were safe in our bubble for a long time on Clubhouse, and now it's been burst. Now a new bubble's being created.
What does it say about me? Thanks, Jason. But I was just going to say, Jason starts listing off all these audio apps. I'm being dead serious here. No joke. I have no idea what any of those apps are. I've never even heard. I think I've heard of Clapper. But that's the only one of all of the things that you just listed, Jason, that I ever even heard of. And I'm not even 100% sure that I've heard of Clapper, but I definitely don't know what any of those apps are. So I don't know. I don't know if that says something about me or if that says something about their sort of viability or their presence. I will say this, I think at the end of the day, the changes that Clubhouse is making, they're making in an effort to essentially save the business. Because it is a business for them, right? It's not a business for us, but it's a business for them. And so the changes they're making they're definitely making in an effort to save the business. And I do think that they see this as kind of a last-ditch effort, right? Sort of a bit of a Hail Mary. In fact, one of the founders, I think the CEO of Clubhouse, in an interview or in the announcement of the changes to the app, literally, and this is from an article that Julie sent Dom and I, he ended the announcement of the redesign by saying this: it's a big bet, and we hope we're right. So I think this is a bit of a Hail Mary for them to try to save the business. So, is it, and the other side too is like, look, at the end of the day, I think for any business, this is 100% true, but it's definitely true when you have a business that's interacts with, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on a regular basis. There is no making everyone happy. Some people are always going to be upset with every single decision you make in the direction of the business, in the UX of the platform, in the functionality of the platform, all of those things. There will always be people upset. Every single decision will create some dissension amongst the users. And so you just have to accept that. They can't make everybody happy. If they tried to make everybody happy, then the platform 100% would fail. I guarantee that would be a guaranteed failure. Clubhouse would cease to exist if they tried to make everybody happy. So yeah, I mean, Carrie, what do you think?
I think it's absolute career suicide. I've never seen more people so outraged and so unhappy. And we just come to the live rooms. We can't find them. There's no hallway. There's no back channel. Like, get it together. Why? Like, you have people screaming from rooftops for an entire week that they're so unhappy. And then last night at the town hall, you have exactly what you said in that article. We hope we're right. Like, if you're really listening to people's feedback, why won't it? It's a simple change to bring back the original Clubhouse. So I mean, maybe I'm just like dark ages and so far removed, but if I had a business, which I do have, and everyone was this upset, I get you can't make people happy, but you've just destroyed and lit on fire what you had, what was working.
Go ahead, Dr. Tachi. What do you think?
So this is interesting. Every point here is absolutely valid. From a business standpoint, businesses have the right to pivot and change when the old business model is no longer serving them. To that point, I would say you don't start to make your business work 3 years in. To me, and again, I'm not on the board, I don't know anything, but it feels like there was no absolute plan or no paying attention to whatever plan they had. And it's 3 years in. And not that that's a super long time, but it's long enough to try to, start to find some wings. So 3 years later to kind of pivot this hard feels strange. The other thing is that your business is people. Which people did you listen to? And I get you can't make everybody happy, but which bodies are you trying to make happy? I think that's the operative thing too. It feels like you may be listening to one cohort of people, but that you deem the most important and not others. And to me, that's always problematic when you do those types of things. So who are they? And then the third thing is that often these apps are founded by tech people and business people. They often have nobody on board that understands human behavior, nobody on board that understands the psychology of the group and how people use things. They're of course, past experience is good and research is good, but they don't intimately understand. And so by default, you get a bunch of business people and tech people making decisions for people. I release the mic.
I couldn't agree more, Dr. Tachi. I think both you and Carrie might be 100% right. I think you very well could both be dead on the money that they are, at the end of the day, making decisions that could lead to, platform or business kind of suicide, right? That they may be making very much the wrong decisions when it comes to not just the changes they're making, but also I think the implementation of those changes and the rapidity with which they've implemented those changes, like flipping a switch overnight, all of a sudden the platform is completely different. Like that's a problem. And I think, you know, there are some relatively commonsensical ways to alleviate those kinds of concerns. You know, a structured or staggered rollout to changes on the platform, et cetera. But I think Dr. Tachi, what you were getting at the end there may really be the root problem, which could very well be that rather than listening to users, as Carrie, you pointed out, that the consensus seems to be that the user base is pretty upset about the changes that the platform and the leadership at the platform have made, that instead of listening to users, and instead of listening to the people that actually engage with their platform, they are instead listening to investors primarily, right? And really worried about the financial component first and foremost, and the people component secondarily, if at all, right? And I think that's a big problem. And it's not, I don't think that's a problem that's limited to Clubhouse. This is something that I talk about all the time. I talk about in my book, Legendeering. I talk about whenever somebody will give me a platform to talk about business and some of the things that I think are inherently wrong with business and the way business is done. It's that businesses listen more and are more concerned, primarily concerned with short-term profitability for investors than they are for long-term viability and service to their community. And that is a problem. And it's not a sustainable model. It's great for short-term profit, but it's only, I think the clock has been ticking since, you know, the 80s when this sort of shift happened in business. The clock has been ticking, and we're getting towards the end of the game here. We're gonna hit the buzzer before too long if Dom can find the button for the buzzer on the iPad. Sorry, Dom, I had to. Just a little dig, buddy, a little dig. What do you think, Carrie?
Here's the thing. I've been in business for almost 30 years. I've lived through 9/11, 2008, divorce. I'd always be banging down my door to have me be their photographer. Well, that would be a huge, huge problem. I'm sorry. And these are smart, busy people who want to be learning and growing. And I think they think everyone will return when they bring back the live rooms. But I don't know. I just think it's really hard to get clients and people and to just not listen to people's feedback and just throw it all away because of money or tech or whatever. I look at it as a business model that I have, and business is local and it's small and it's relationships. And like I said, I'm pretty upset, which you all know.
I wanted to add something into there because
Go ahead, Jay.
think about it. What if the question that's not being asked, would you pay for a certain feature to exist on a platform? Would you pay for it? So if Clubhouse offered, say, hey, for a membership fee of $5 to $10 a month, would you pay for it and still be able to use all the other features, but you're paying specifically for one feature? Would you pay for it? Because that's what it really comes down to. A lot of these apps are having to figure out, like, look at what's been done in the last 6 months. You had Twitter change to X, but they also offered for a fee, you can become verified, where the vetting process of being verified was, are you equitable to our platform? Now it's, hey, you can pay for that equity and, and cut a lot of the steps going forward. So maybe this is something that we're not seeing coming, but it's been slowly creeping, is paying for certain features, say like for a live room, because it is for your business, returns the money to the platform, makes it equitable, and people still get what they want, yet while they're still, inventing and creating brand new features for communication.
Good points, Jason. I was thinking earlier, well, why wouldn't charge me $10 to host a house? Charge me, I would have done it. Charge me, like, why not just run ads like Facebook? And like Facebook has it so pinpoint, I can pick what careers I want to send my ads to. Why not? I could send ads to certain followers and things like that. But to Carrie's point, let's say I've been in Jason's room or Johnny's room or whatever. Like sometimes I'm in a room or maybe I have a room where there's 50 people in it, 20 people, 30 people. And right now I can see 12 faces, or I can see 8 and 3. So there could be 10 other people, 20 other people that follow because they like the content in the room. Well, when you're hosting a room, you're really not able to see all those people. So I like when Billy Thorpe was saying and Carrie about all the followers and things like that, and Heather earlier. Well, it's so basic on why it's not just maybe Grant Cardone's being a jerk. It could be that there's 1,000 people in his room that he can't go down through and click on every face while he's hosting those rooms. So, all right, not the smartest guys in the room. Ben, what do you got for us? The failure guy. You still hosting podcasts? Where you at, man? You need some more guests. How far out are you? Weigh in on all this. Straighten us out, Ben. You still doing stand up? What else? Go on.
So my per usual, I'm all over the place. I moved from Kansas City to LA, like you knew, but I'm now in Boston because failures tend to just follow me all around. It's my jam. Carrie knows all of what happened. But it's just suffices to say, things aren't going necessarily my way. But funnily, the last episode of the podcast I did, because I didn't pay for my Adobe Audition, I interviewed myself as my stand-up comedian alter ego or whatever, my stage name, so I could give myself an IMDb credit under my comedy name. So it was just like 20 minutes of me not editing it at all, just talking to myself in two different people's, like as myself and then as my guest self, but really self-aware. So it was the weirdest episode I've ever done for sure. But like, I'm pretty sure it's the only one I've done in the last 60 days. But I've got probably 50 recorded that I haven't edited. So yeah, I really just got to get back on the horse and do it. But there's plenty of other things that I also need to be doing. And I'm going to be hanging out with Carrie later this week in her studio, working on some Excel things. So I'm trying to focus on things that make more sense. And since the failure guy thing, while I love it, it isn't like a moneymaker thing or as important as some of the other stuff that I should probably be doing at the moment. But it's on brand for failure guy. It seems like failure is not just in the past, but it's a constant battle. So, but thankfully I got resilience.
Right on, man. We support you on your journey. And I think like Tom was saying about the clock earlier, clock changes, right? Clock change, tick, 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 tick. We look at it, constant change. Failure is the same way. I mean, I fell 1,000 times. And if you're not failing, for a moment of motivation, if you're not failing, maybe that's because you're home sitting on the couch doing nothing. Maybe it's because you're not trying anything new, because you're not leaving your comfort zone. So, and I know we get into this a lot of times over, well, never say failure, never say the word failure, never say, and then we get into such a conversation. Well, did you grow from it? Did you learn from it? It does happen, but we can each overcome it as well. So stay the course, man, and we'll hang out again someday. But Carrie, play basketball with him. He's got a skyhook when you're over there in Boston.
It'll look good. I'm excited to see your studio.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're wrapping up in about 10 minutes. So, in that point, Tom, we'll go around the room. We got any last words on the change, and we'll hear from everybody if there's one thing, but then we'll let you finish. But you want to start it off?
I mean, I was just going to say this, like, I think at the end of the day, some sort of fundamental shift in Clubhouse and the way Clubhouse interacts with its users was bound to happen because it's still in sort of the beta stage, and they haven't actually shifted the model to generate revenue yet. So basically, as long as Clubhouse has been around, they've been spending money, but they haven't been making any money. And they're getting to a point probably with investors where investors are going, okay, we pumped a ton of cash into this project, into this business, like it's got to start turning a profit. It's got to start bringing in some revenue. And I think that's probably a lot of the impetus behind this, that it's either going to start generating revenue and start paying dividends for those investors, or it's going to go bankrupt and cease to exist, or get sold off and kind of parted out. So, I don't know what else to say other than, at the end of the day, they have to figure out a way to make money, and, agree with their decisions or not. I think that's the main motivating force here for the changes behind Clubhouse. But that's my thought.
All right, good start. Dr. Tachi, what say you? We'll keep it rolling. Hey, I want to let you know, sometimes I'll make like minor investments in things, and not always the best, or maybe not as thought out. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is the one. So a couple of years ago, I thought Clubhouse is on fire. I'm investing. I bought Clubhouse, like let's say I bought $200, whatever, and I buy it. And then I find out, once I did more research, like a week later, that it wasn't the right Clubhouse. It was like, it had nothing to do with this current app. This current app was private and you couldn't buy it. So then I sold it real quick and went on to some other dumb investment. So, okay. Yeah, that's true, Tom. All right, Heather, what do you got for us? Final thoughts on Clubhouse today? Maybe since it's a voice app, maybe they're hearing. Go on, Heather.
I mean, again, every app is going to go through ebbs and flows, changes, and just use these apps as tools. Don't go all in on them, because you could grow an audience of 100,000 people and then the app closes and then you got to start from scratch all over again on a different app. So omnipresence. Thank you.
Good point. We talk all the time about taking it off the app, have that personal conversation, get out and network. Go on, come to Creative Con in February. We didn't talk about that today, but perfect time. Johnny, what do you got? Final thoughts on I even forget the name. Final thoughts on Clubhouse today. Go on, Johnny.
Well, I'm going to take a really zen approach. I'm going to be like Pooh Bear and just kind of ride the stream and see where it takes me. I'm just going to float along, and if it works out, great. If not, there's always something else. Ta-da!
There you go, Johnny. Good point. And now how wide is a stream? Can you ride on a stream in a raft?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Or you can float down it. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I want to know like exactly what classifies as a stream versus a creek versus something that you can actually float down.
Well, so I think creek, stream, crick are all interchangeable.
Okay. So I can float down the stream. Okay, I float down that same stream with Johnny. Carrie, go on. Vent.
Well, I'm a Bostonian, and I'm also 100% Irish, and we fight, and we have tempers, and I can't help that. But I just think, aside from the money piece, right? Like, you met Failure Guy, and I was able to say in a Clubhouse room, hey, I'll be at Podfest. So I was able to meet Ben. Ben and I, we're real, like, all of us are real friends. And there's been amazing friendships. People have helped with information around COVID, people are like, they've done they've raised money. They've done so many incredible things on this app. So yeah, they haven't been profitable for 3 years. Well, the Improbable Bostonian magazine wasn't profitable for 13 years. And I've been killing myself with my podcast for almost 4 years. And I've done a lot of terrific things with it. Haven't made a lot of money, but I just have to, something that's so great has to find a way to pay off, and I just hope it does. And for the time that I have been here, it's been an insane blessing for me, and I just hope it continues. So thanks for letting me share.
There you go. You brought it around. Very inspiring. Thank you, Carrie. We're going failure guy, then Dr. Tachi, then Tom's going to wrap us on up. So what do you got, Ben, besides the skyhook? Go on.
Well, so Carrie sent me this room, and when I joined, I had no idea there was changes. So I've just been figuring it out. And by figuring it out, I mean realizing things are totally different as I try to go do anything. But I like change in general. It seems like this wasn't made for any good reason, so I'm not a huge fan of it being done just for the sake of messing around with stuff. But to Carrie's point, regardless of, like I said, I haven't explored them, so I can't really say if they're good or bad. But to her point of like just the connectivity, I think that even if it's not Clubhouse, just the future that we're in and the abilities that we have to meet people that can have such a big influence on our lives and in ways that couldn't have happened even 20 years ago is just insane. And I can't wait for all the new things that do come out. And so similar to what Johnny said, you know, like I love new things because I know that it brings about all sorts of crazy things that we can't even predict. So I'm excited.
There you go. Excitement in the air. Dr. Tachi. A final word on the changes on Clubhouse. That's where we were going.
Oh, wow. Big, tall order. So I 100% agree with, I think nobody is wrong in this case. Everybody has the right to feel how they feel. And I think everybody has the right idea from Clubhouse's standpoint and from the consumer standpoint. We all are just, we all are coming to it from different standpoints. So obviously we're going to feel differently. I think the thing is, though, for those of us that are end users, my good friend Joe Wilson always says this: it's not about the platform, it's about the people. So once you've formed your communities on these apps, you need to find a way to funnel them someplace else to something you actually own so you can continue the fruitful interactions. Because as somebody said, I would be a travesty if this closed down or another app closed down and you have a community of 100,000 followers, 100,000 community members is better. Funnel them to something that you actually own so that you can actually keep in touch with them. Don't let a third-party app be in charge of your relationships. I'm done speaking.
What do you think of that, Dom?
Well, I think Dr. Tachi's brilliant as always, and I'm done for today, but I'm thankful to have, I consider all you friends. I'm thankful to have met you over the last couple of years. I'm not going anywhere, and I do try to do my best to take it off, like just offline and make it personal. So if anybody ever wants to message me or anything like that, I'd love to try to play one-on-one basketball with you like I did, Ben, or, I'd love to meet you and hang out like I did with Charlie Cifarelli or some of the other people that you've met through this app here. So it's a good place. And Dr. Tachi, what you said about people, man, you nailed that. So well said. That's all I got. Love you. Tom, go on, do your thing, man.
Thanks, Tom.
Wait, sorry. I went to go follow Doctor and I put her to the audience, by the way. So my bad. Oops. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. He's working some moderator magic. So go on, Tom. Wrap us up.
So yeah, I mean, thanks, Tom. I think there's a lot of things to say about what Clubhouse is doing. I think it is, it's an example of shifts we've seen in other social media platforms over time. It's just another example of another app kind of going down a similar path. At the end of the day, as a business, they have to generate revenue. And I don't necessarily agree with the way they're going about it, or the sort of, I think the lack of transparency around it, and the inability for individuals to navigate the new sort of layout of the UX of the platform, I think is a huge mistake on their part, and a huge kind of dropped ball issue. But you know, at the end of the day, like I said, I think the motivations are, you know, revenue generation, right? It comes down to money. I think the investors want to start seeing some return on their investment. You know, at one point, despite the fact that Club Deck or Clubhouse has never generated revenue, they were valued at over $1 billion. And that valuation is based on a projection of the amount of value inherent to the size of the user base. But you have to monetize that user base, right? And I think this is a step towards that. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, I think that this is going to light a fire under me and under us, Dom, to explore other opportunities for how to host not the smartest guys in the room. I want to make sure that Clubhouse isn't our only option. It's been our option thus far, but I think maybe this is the impetus or the sort of, you know, the kick in the pants that we needed to start maybe looking around and looking at other ways to host this show, to do this show, to bring this community together. It doesn't have to be through Clubhouse. So I'm going to start doing some research on my end. And we've got plans for how to take this from virtual to real, right? You mentioned Creative Con coming up in February of 2024. And the plan right now is at Creative Con in February of 2024, we're going to do a live episode of Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, and have the audience in the room participate the same way. Maybe the Mighty Oak will be there with us on stage. And it can be between two oaks instead of between two ferns, right? But you know, maybe you know, the audience there will be the community that participates. So you know, there's always you know, there's always more than one way to do everything. And I think, you know, maybe this is just the impetus for us to look at how we can expand off of Clubhouse and not be so reliant on Clubhouse as the sort of basis of this community we've built and this show that we do every week. Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. As for me, for the rest of the day, here's what I've got on my mind. I've got to eat a lot of carbohydrates. And I'm going to preface this by saying that every time I say that, and this is something I do before races, before every sort of endurance race that I do, whether it's a marathon or an Ironman, or a half marathon or a half Ironman, whenever I do a carb load for a longer distance race, I get a lot of people saying, that sounds fantastic. I would love to just have to eat a bunch of carbohydrates all day long for a few days. So this is a 3-day carb load. And to give you an idea, to put it in perspective, it becomes work, especially by the 3rd day. So races on Saturday, carb load starts today. I'll do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, going into the race on Saturday. And on each day, today, tomorrow, and Friday, I have to eat 655 grams of carbohydrates per day, right? And that's in order to top up my glycogen stores in my liver and in my muscles so that I have all the stored energy I could possibly have going into the race on Saturday morning. And to put that in perspective, that's the equivalent roughly of eating 13 bagels a day for the next 3 days. So over the course of the next 3 days, I have to eat the equivalent of 39 bagels. And you just think about how hard it would be for you to get through 13 bagels in a day. And I bet you that by the time you get to like the 6th bagel, you're going to be pretty over bagels. And that's kind of what I have to do for the next 3 days. So it is challenging and difficult, but the silver lining is that it sets me up for success going into Saturday. And I guess the bigger lesson there is that sometimes you have to do things that aren't a ton of fun in order to find success and reach your goals. And so I've put in 6 months of training, which was not always fun. And now over the next 3 days, I'm going to eat a ridiculous amount of carbohydrates, silly numbers of bagels, in order to be ready to achieve what I want to achieve on Saturday, to get that sub 11-hour finish, and maybe, just maybe, make it into the top 10 in my age group. So that's what I got for you today. Sometimes you got to put in the work if you want to achieve the goal. So fingers crossed. Please keep me in your thoughts. Send me good vibes, good thoughts, and good luck for Saturday. And like I said, if you want to follow along, just download that Ironman Tracker app from the App Store or Android Play Store, and put in my name, and you'll be able to follow along and follow my journey on Saturday as I swim 2.4 miles, run 112, or bike 112, and then run 26.2 to cover 140.6 miles in hopefully under 11 hours. That's the goal. So that's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys for being here. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. You guys are the reason why we do this. And whether it's on Clubhouse going forward or not, whatever the platform is, the plan is to keep it going. And we can only do that because of you and with you guys. So thanks so much. Love you. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks so much.
Adios.